Good afternoon, everybody. Can I get a thumbs up from Melissa that the audio is working? Melissa McCain, if you could verify the audio is working. Okay, got a confirmation. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric Volkerson. I am the Director of Facilities for MedExcel at St. Vincent, Evansville. Thank you all for joining our webinar today. Could you go to the next slide, please? Back one. Our agenda is as follows. We'll start with some ISHE updates. We'll share some information on upcoming events. Then we'll move into a video presentation and end with a Q&A session. Next slide. Now for some ISHE updates. We have some exciting news. ISHE membership has reached a new record level with 473 members. Great job, everybody. Let's keep those numbers growing. We also had record attendance at the spring conference in French Lick, Indiana, 246 registrants. Again, great job. Thank you so much for your support. And lastly, the 2022 spring conference has been booked, so please go ahead and mark your calendars for that event. Sponsorships and exhibits for this event are available. Please check the ISHE website for more details. Do we have any questions on ISHE updates? There is a chat box and a question box that you can use to type in questions. Audio is probably not going to be an option for this event. All right, moving on to upcoming events. The ISHE annual conference is going to be in Nashville, Tennessee in August. In-person and virtual options will be available. The October ISHE event is projected to be held at Franciscan Health. We're still working out some details on that one, so keep an eye on your inbox. And then the Midwest Healthcare Engineering Conference will be held in Indianapolis this November. Registration is open for this event. Any questions on upcoming events? Okay, next slide. Next, we have a video that highlights two recently completed linear accelerator replacement projects. One was at the St. Vincent Evansville Cancer Center, and the other was at Good Samaritan Hospital. Varian was the equipment provider at both locations. Garmon Construction was the GC for both projects, and the designers were Hafer Design for Evansville and Arc Design for Good Sam. So without further ado, please start the video.
The ability to take a patient that has this horrible diagnosis and very poor prognosis and give them this treatment is life-changing.
Because we're in an active radiation oncology space, our goal was to create an environment that was warm to the patients that are going through a difficult time with minimal interruption to the flow of patients.
One of the greatest working strengths that we always have is working in an operational healthcare facility.
It's very critical that we are able to get the new installed, make a quick changeover without affecting their patient care. We know that reliability, maintainability, and energy efficiency are all key to keeping their operations moving forward.
One of our biggest concerns for this project was around patient safety. We didn't want to do anything that could create an unhealthy environment for them. We went through great lengths to create a separate construction area from the patient care area. This included separate construction entrance, proper construction barriers, and isolating HVAC systems.
I would say the greatest challenge we had for the Ascension St. Vincent project at the Evansville Cancer Center was really the time frame that the client wanted to work within.
Our purchasing group did a great job of negotiating some very competitive pricing. It was locked in on commitment letter, and that pricing was only good as long as we had the equipment installed by a certain date. So the first task for our project team was to select that install date. From that point, they worked the schedule backwards.
We worked with MedExcel team and the Hafer team to really shorten our construction window. So taking the existing equipment down and bringing the new Varian TrueBeam unit in, that construction period was a 12-week period, and that allowed time for Varian to come in and get the equipment set up.
For this specific project at Ascension St. Vincent Evansville Cancer Center, some of the key takeaways whenever we think about the design are their patients and the quality of that care that they receive.
They're already going through an experience with their health, and we want to make sure that the interiors provide a calming, soothing position for their treatment, because this is our community. These are our friends, our family. So we want to let them know that we want to help take care of them.
Here at Good Samaritan Hospital in Vincennes, this particular project is an equipment replacement. So the space had already been designed, not necessarily for this current piece of equipment, which is updated and oftentimes requires new components. So you have to kind of step back, understand what was there before, so that you can understand how you can approach that project.
The room is very open, and having that open feel, patients come in and they're like, oh, this is much different than I thought it was going to be. So that helps relieve their anxiety coming into that. The lighting can be changed to make it dimmer in there and kind of set a mood that you don't feel like you're going into a surgery room where all the lights are so bright and blinding. It kind of gives that relaxation feel.
If you think about it, they're undergoing radiation. That's a scary thing in itself. How can we make them feel comfortable? Something familiar or something very different to take their mind off of what they're thinking about.
Part of the issues when we were going through the design and construction phase was how do we do it in an active linear accelerator space? So designing a plan that met the needs of the space was very important, a very high priority for us.
They had good documentation. That was important to be able to uncover some things and understand how it was constructed and how it wasn't constructed.
During that process, we did decide we were going to split the existing control room, which was one combined control room for 2 linear accelerators. So really the constraint on the staff was very critical to get that opened up and renovated and turned back over as quickly as possible.
The teamwork that we had there and the communication was key to being successful. And we met on a regular basis, bi-weekly meetings to discuss anything that was coming up, going on, kept the department manager heavily involved in all those decisions.
The collaboration of the team is just so important. It just ensures a well-rounded project from the start of design to the finish of construction. We're turning the room back over and seeing the first patient.
We knew we had targets that we had to hit, and everybody did their part. I consider this project to be very successful. I contribute most of that to the team that was involved.
Okay, hopefully my audio is back on again. I do see some comments that there were some audio issues. I'm going to try and send a poll to see how many people would like to try and view that again. Dave, do you have any suggestions on what may have caused the audio issues?
No, I was able to hear it, and several others did as well. I see one person made a note that, well, Melissa was hearing it on the phone, but not on desktop. Someone else had an issue as well. We can send a link out to the attendees with a link to that audio so they can see it separately if you'd like. But it looks like
I'm sorry, let's do that. After the session, let's go ahead and send the link out so that people can watch that at their at their leisure.
Yeah, I think most people it worked fine for them. Just a couple probably.
Okay, great. So for those that could hear the video, it was pretty obvious from some of the comments that teamwork and collaboration were key to making these projects successful. We do have some panelists that are here for Q&A session today. We did have a few conflicts. Not everybody could be here, but we do have several. The folks that I do think are in attendance are myself, Joe Mattingly, and Alan Bittner from Garmon Construction, Alan Dang and Don Abel from Arc Design, and John Mann from Hafer Design. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to type those into the question box or the chat box now. While we're waiting for some of those questions to come in, I thought I'd throw a couple out for the panelists. So this would be for our two design teams. We'll start with Arc Design. Did you face any delays with your ISDH submissions on this project?
Can you hear me okay?
It's a little scratchy, but yes.
So for ISDH, we
I've totally lost the audio response now. If you have a chance to type your response into the text box, you may want to try that. How about John Mann from Hafer? Are you on? John, if you're there, we cannot hear you. Okay, let's try Garmon Construction. Joe, are you still on?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
How about any unique challenges that you faced on this project?
Sure. At the Evansville Cancer Center, we faced the task of working inside of the ongoing operation of the facility. Our vault that we were working in was directly next to the existing linear accelerator that was in operation every day. We were tasked with the construction of ICRA barriers, isolating of HVAC systems, and just working around all of the physicians and the nurses in that area, trying to separate ourselves from their daily operation. We had a lot of support from the operations team, and they gave us all their support, and we were able to have a successful project, not just from a construction side of things, but from an operational standpoint as well. They didn't lose any time associated with other treatments. So I think it was a lot of collaboration, teamwork effort amongst all of us to make the project successful.
Great, thank you very much. Alan, are you able to respond? Any unique challenges on the Good Samaritan project site?
Eric, I'll speak to that again. Alan had to exit real quick here, but he and I talked about this, and it was pretty well the same experience at Good Sam, that the operation of the existing facility ongoing during this time, working with the on-site technicians and the nursing staff, physicians, they were absolutely great as well, being able to work around our schedule and us working around their schedule. Again, a collaborative effort amongst all of us to make the project successful.
Thank you, Joe. I saw a question online. What was the duration for construction? Joe, your mic seems to be working well, if you don't mind responding.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Our duration of construction for the Evansville Cancer Center was around 12 weeks. We were fortunate enough to get together with Hafer ahead of time and identify some constructive items that were able to be identified early that helped us speed up our efforts on site, referencing old as-built drawings and figuring out what was there previous that could be reutilized as far as raceways, conduits, and that sort of thing. But our project there at the Cancer Center was 12 weeks.
Do you happen to know what Good Samaritan's project length was?
I believe it was 8 weeks.
Okay. I didn't see this question come in, but it's usually one people like to know, and that would be project cost for Evansville. Go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
If I'm not mistaken, these are round numbers. I think total project cost was around between 4 and 4.5 million, and the construction piece was 900,000 to $1 million, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if Good Sam is comfortable sharing their info since they don't have a representative on the line today. Any other questions? Is there anything that anybody from the project team would like to share that would help your peers in future events such as this? For me personally, just making sure get the project team together as early on as you can. And that's usually the case with any project, but especially one with very specific lead times that are short duration, long lead time. It was great to get everybody at the table in the beginning, get a good plan, good schedule laid out, and stick to it.
Yeah, and Eric, I'll second that as well. Clear communication with the equipment vendor as well, knowing their logistics of lead times and transit times, and just a good weekly meeting, good weekly communication meetings with them, and where we stand as far as the on-site project construction activities go versus their on-site audits, if you will. They were real good about joining the construction effort and providing on-site assistance throughout the construction. That was always a big help.
Thank you, Joe. Jeremy had mentioned that some of the tolerances for these projects, especially the floor levelness, was just down to the micron for the most part. So definitely something to keep in mind, and being able to find those construction documents so that you know what you're dealing with and not guessing makes a big difference. I have not seen any additional questions come through the chat box. Dave, have I missed anything from the chat box that you can see?
I don't think so. By the way, if there are any panelists that came in accidentally as attendees, we can always unmute them. They just need to put something into the question box as well, and we can help them there. Otherwise, what we'll plan on doing is posting the video, and we can also put some contact information on there in case anybody wants to follow up with specific questions. I can put you as a main contact and you can redirect that, or I have some of the other email addresses that you also provided, and we can add those to the page so that people can contact individuals as need be with any follow-up questions that they might have.
Perfect. We could wait 1 second for a response on a text. I think I had a panelist that was muted and may want to say something.
Sure, just let me know which one that is if that's the case.
He doesn't have anything additional unless there were more questions, so I think we're okay.
All right. So what I'll plan on doing is I'll send an email out to all of the registered attendees so that they have a link to the video as well as the contact information in case they would like to follow up with anybody with some specific questions.
Fantastic. And I do think this session is eligible for CEUs. Is that correct?
And we will send that out as well following the presentation today.
Okay, we'll give it one more minute to see if any new questions come in, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, thanks everybody for your time. Thanks for your questions. We look forward to seeing you at upcoming ISHE events. Thanks so much.